Hello, I'm Lizzie and this is Lizzie Reads and welcome to TBR Trials Round 2, and this time we're looking at my book box books. So I am trying to reduce my owned TBR a little bit. Not massively. I don't care to have a lot of books on there. I just keep finding there are some books that keep staying on my TBR. And last year when I moved into the flat, I decided to start doing a video called TBR Trials, in which I pick 5 books and make a twist on the try chapter tag and then try and push them off my TBR. So in the first round of this, I had a little look at 5 books on my TBR and worked through them in a couple of stages to see which ones I definitely will like, or I think I'll like, or I am interested in the future, just not sure on right now. DNF'd a couple or unhauled a couple, and then decided at the end to read one and try and get a book knocked off my TBR. This time we are looking at books from book boxes. So I get Fairy Loot Adult, and I also get a Lumacrate and a Lumacrate Afterlight. A Lumacrate Afterlight kind of doesn't come into this because romance is my genre. I read it quite easily, like it's my favourite genre, so that's not a problem. And I have a couple of Fairy Loot YA box because I did get that one originally before the adult box started. So there are a few different things at play here. There are a few different books. I cannot tell you what books from what month. I can only tell you what company it came from because I just don't keep track of things like that. I'm really sorry. If it was a recent one, I can probably remember, but from previous months, I don't really know. I think on a live once I was talking with friends about these books and how I see them, and the book comes, I'm really excited. I love the stuff that's in the book, in the boxes. I'm like, oh, this is fabulous. Then I put it away and I never think about it again. There are a couple of instances where books have come which I have been really anticipating, or books I'm super interested in, or I wasn't interested in and then loved, but you know, that doesn't happen all the time, and I should really be getting to these books because they are exciting. Enough rambling. So what's going to happen is I'm going to tell you what 5 books I've got, and then I'm going to tell you about the blurb, or roughly the tagline or something like that. And then what I'm probably going to sit here and do is I'm going to sit here and read the first page of each of them, and then I'm going to see if I can rule any out based on that. It's unlikely that I will be based on that. I did last time, but that was mainly because there were a lot of books on there that I would just never read now in the last version of this. So let's get into it and let's have a little look and see what we can get to. So I've got 3 Lumacrate and 2 Fairy Loot here. So let's start with the Fairy Loot ones. We have Veronica Roth, and that is Poster Girl, or Poster Girl by Veronica Roth, and it says a fallen regime, a missing child, a chance of freedom. Could be interesting. It's beautiful, it's very nice, very interesting. I've not read Divergent by Veronica Roth. I've seen the movie for the first one, but I was always a bit of a Hunger Games kind of girl, so I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I literally don't know. I'll give it a go. I'll give anything a go these days. And then we have Book of Night by Holly Black. It says even your shadow can be stolen. I've never read anything by Holly Black. I've got really high, and I'm really anticipating the Cruel Prince. I feel like the Cruel Prince could be something I really, really love. But this is Holly Black's first adult novel, because I think this came in the adult box. This actually came in a Lumacrate and Fairy Loot, so I have 2 copies of it, and that's why I really want to know if I'm going to like it, because I need to know if I can just get rid of one of them, because I can sell one, I can keep the other, or sell them both if I don't like it. Do you know what I mean? I could definitely get rid of it. So I'm intrigued to see. Oh look, I've even got a card for this. I can tell you what month it came. May 2022, and I haven't even looked at it. But yes, I don't really know what it's about. So yeah. Next we have one that I really feel like isn't going to be my thing, and that is The Red Scholar's Wake by Aliette de Bodard. That is probably the most butchering of any surname you've ever read. Oh, it's got a side book plate that I've not stuck in. Sci-fi. There's no tagline, and I'm not going to read their blurb because I can't be bothered. So yeah. Next we have The Luminaries, which is absolutely beautiful, by Susan Dennard. And it says the forest is dangerous. I cannot read. It says the forest is dangerous for a luminary untrained. Now I'm very intrigued by this one because I know that Susan Dennard wrote the Truth Witch series, I think, which when I was starting to get into the fantasy side of BookTube, or when I started to discover like Jade and everyone like that, I'm pretty sure there was a read along in which everyone started to slowly hate the series. But I know that Becca, Bewitched Bex, loves this series and was very hyped for this. So I'm interested, just because it would be nice to know if I liked it as well. We shall see. And then lastly, for this round, we have The Book Eaters by Sunny Dean. And it says, once there was a mother who fed on stories and would do anything to survive. So, to be honest with you, that tells me nothing about any of those books. The only ones that I have sort of real interest in finding out if I'm going to like would be The Luminaries and Book of Night, only because Book of Night has been on my TBR for quite some time. A lot of these ones are newer ones. But Book of Night has been on my TBR for the longest out of these, I think. And also, I've got 2 copies, so it would be filling up some shelf space if I decided if I liked it or not. So what I'm probably going to do now is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read the first page and the blurb of each of them, because I think that the first page doesn't give you much. I need to know if the story is going to be okay. Then I'm going to narrow it down, see if there are any that I just know I'm not in the mood for right now, but I could be at another stage. And then I'll do a try chapter potentially afterwards, if there's any left, to decide what I'm going to be reading in this video. So yeah, a bit of a try chapter tag with a little bit of a twist, and we're gonna see what we can do. Okay, that wasn't as helpful as we would have hoped. It's getting a bit dark, so I'm just going to film this bit. So, what happened when I was reading was that I decided I didn't want to unhaul any of them. Annoying. I suppose you can't expect to always want to unhaul books, but it would have been nice to unhaul things. So I have removed 2 from my current read options though. I've decided, first of all, I'm not really in the mood for The Red Scholar's Wake, only because it's a sci-fi and I do really want to read it. It says here that it's an exciting space opera and a beautiful romance, and it's got like space pirates in it, which I think will be really interesting. However, I am not super engaged right now. My brain power low. I always say that. I always say that it's low, but it feels pretty low. So I think that I might need a bit more brain space to read this, just because sci-fi is really not my jam. Fantasy's not like my easy go-to all the time, but sci-fi, really not that at all. So I'm going to wait till I feel a bit more awake for that one. And then we also had the one that I felt most unsure about, was Poster Girl by Veronica Roth. And this is dystopian. It's about, there was a strict like all-seeing, all-knowing regime that fell, and I believe it's like a situation where the new regime isn't that great either, but it's about the poster girl from the previous regime who just was like grown up believing in that regime. I'm selling it to myself as I'm talking, which is the worst thing, because as I'm talking I'm like, that sounds really interesting, that sounds really good, but the writing, it was like very overwritten. That first page I was like, oh my god, when's it gonna end? But I think I could really get into the story, but I just think not right now. It's one that I considered unhauling, but I had a look, because in order to unhaul it I would sell it, and on Vinted right now, which is the easiest place for me to sell things, there is like 100 copies of this, and I was like, it's just not going to sell. It's going to sit there. It's going to be on my shelves for ages anyway, so I may as well read it, or try and read it and then reconsider it again at a later stage. So that leaves me with the Book Eaters, which was an interesting concept. There are 5 families across the UK which can book eat and consume stories. That's how they sort of survive. And I think the main character, her second son, is born, and he is a mind eater. He eats the mind and souls of humans. So she has to go on the run. Very interesting, very intriguing. I liked the way the first page was written. So yeah, I was hooked on that. The Luminaries, I thought, actually, I could be quite interested in this. I quite enjoyed it. Started okay. Do you know what really drew me in? It talks about how the main character, Winnie, she wants to join the Luminaries. They protect this town from the forest. There's something magical going on. Yada, yada, yada. But what really drew me in was, but in order to survive, Winnie must enlist the help of the one person who can train her, Jay Friday, resident bad boy and Winnie's ex-best friend. Which is just, like, stupid, because I'm like, do I sniff a romance? Do I sniff a romance? Is that a romance trope? Honestly, I don't think it will be romancy, but that's what intrigued me. And then Book of Night. I read the first page and I am semi-interested. I'm mainly interested because of the 2 copies. But so I think I'm going to work my way through the first chapter of each of them, have a little look, see if I can get them on audiobook easily, because if I can get them on audiobook, that's a plus. And yeah, I'll let you know once I've decided one that I'm going to read. Okay, a little update. Even before reading the first chapter, I've decided to unfortunately discount The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. Now, I definitely think I might put this up onto more of a TBR soon. Like, I might potentially read it in March, maybe. I might speak to Becca and see if she likes it when she's read it first. I don't have any access to an audiobook at the moment of it, whereas I do for the other 2. So I'm not going to read this right now, because I need an audiobook to get me through. And to be fair, it feels like the longest of all of them. So yes, I won't be reading that now, but that's fine. I'm going to read the first chapters and the other 2. So, just like the lighting in this, things have got a bit dark. So, I was reading Book of Night by Holly Black, and I thought, what the fuck is going on here? Wasn't a fan of the writing from the get-go. I just thought, I'm not engaged. I'll give it a try another time, mainly because it's Holly Black. And I know what will happen is because I'll get rid of a Book of Night. I will love The Cruel Prince. I'll love it. And then I'll be like, oh, I wish I kept that special copy of Book of Night. Just because I'm stupid. And even though I probably won't like it, and then I'll read it and be like, oh, I should have got rid of this ages ago. I'll keep it. So this isn't doing very good for the trials. But I did start reading The Book Eaters, and I am gripped. This is dark. Like I said, it's dark as this lighting. I will go put a light on in a minute. So we start the first chapter. I'll just give you a rundown just so you can see what it's like. It's about this woman called Devon. And like I said, she is a book eater and she goes to eat books. And she invites the vicar around for her son. And her son eats the fucking vicar. Like, he eats his mind. I don't know. It's dark. She's not even going, this isn't like, oh, I was a vampire and then I wanted to be good when I went on Human Blood, so I went after rapists and murderers, whatever. None of that business. She's like, get the vicar in, and I'm hooked. And I think this is really interesting. I like the way it's written, and the writing's a bit small. I don't like that. I like nice big writing. Let's see how many pages it is without looking too much. Acknowledgements, last page, 295 pages. Lovely, lovely. Nice small book to get me going. Yeah, I am going to devour this, I think. It's beautiful, lovely copy. What's it look like? Oh wow, that's creepy. I think it might be a bit dark and creepy. It's got a bit of a creepy cover. I'm sitting in the most awkward position ever. But do you know what I am going to do? Is I'm going to start my dinner and I'm going to listen to the audiobook while I make it. So I'm going to keep updating you throughout. I'll see how I get on. I'm going to have a bath tonight, so I'll probably read it there as well. I'm just so intrigued now. This has really intrigued me, and yeah, I think I'm going to really like this. Hello. So, I made dinner and I'd eaten dinner. I was cooking whilst listening to the audiobook, and I got up to page 46, chapter 6, and I was really interested in it. It was really, really good, really interesting. I've started to take a turn for the worse, as you can see. I've got a bit of a cold coming, I think. I was making cookies earlier, so I'm just going to quickly put them in the freezer so that the ones that I eat now can go in the oven and the rest of them can just go in the freezer. But I think I've got a bit of a cold, some sort of allergies flaring up, my nose is blocked, so I don't want to talk too much. I'm really actually enjoying it. It's really gripped me, really interesting as well, and it's nice to kind of not mood read, but read something I wasn't planning on reading. So like something I have really like no idea about. Really, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what could come up. So I'm actually really interested. Fingers crossed. It continues in the vein it is, because I am so intrigued. And the development of the families in this world, and like it's like an urban fantasy, but it has a few sci-fi twists. So like the idea that these weird fantastical type people or creatures who eat books and eat minds actually came from another planet. So it's like a nice intersection of sci-fi and fantasy, but it's mainly fantasy. It's like feels very fantastical, or urban, creepy, horror type situation. I don't know. It's a real mixture, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So I'm going to make cookies, or they're already made. They just need to be popped into the freezer so that I can cook them as and when. And I will chat to you soon. I've just got to work, so hopefully I'll get some listening done later today, or maybe on the drive home. But yeah, I didn't read any more last night, even in the bath. I just laid there and just bathed in my allergies. I listened up to page 95 whilst in the bath, and whilst working and doing bits and pieces today. So I think I'm going to read some more in the bath now. See how I get on. Just in case you think, oh, has Lizzie gone grey? Did she not film for years? No, I'm trying to come at one with the dry shampoo, and I'm trying something different. But that's besides the point. I am actually very, very hooked on the Book Eaters. I just read 50 pages in the bath, and I wanted to carry on reading, but I had to get out because it's so cold. The bath water was going cold. The lighting in here is atrocious. I'm going to carry on reading. It'd be really great if I could finish tonight, or if I could get far enough that on my drive into work tomorrow I could listen to the rest. That would be great. I haven't listened to an audiobook in the car in a while, so it might be good to do that, but we'll see how we get on. I'm got prime opportunity at the moment to get some reading done, so yeah, I've got 2 really good reading nights in a row. But I really want to finish the Book Eaters. In the bath, I was kind of toying with the idea of selling one of my Book of Nights, even though I didn't read it in this vlog, because I just feel like I'm not super interested. I don't know. I'm still toying with it. I'll let you know my final decision at the end of the video. Got up to page 175 on my drive this morning, so not too bad. But I'm going to go to work now. Hello, my angels. It is. What day is it? Tuesday? Tuesday evening. Oh, Tuesday evening. And I've been listening to the audiobook as much as I could get done today. And I finished the Book Eaters. And I actually have a full, well-rounded, I think, thoughts on it. Unusual for me, I know. So I gave it 4 stars. I think the rating on Cassidy's spreadsheet was giving me like a 3.5, but I just really felt like it was a 4 stars. So I'm giving it 4 stars. I don't know what about my rating was off there, but I'm giving it 4 stars. Solely on the fact that it felt like a very solid read. I really, really enjoyed it at first. I felt like it was really strong. It really gripped me right from the get-go, and I loved the narrator. I listened to the audiobook on Scribd as well, and I absolutely loved the narrator because the narrator had a northern accent. It was great. And I loved the characters. Each character had their own sort of individual story that was packed into quite a short novel. They felt very strong. There was one character, Kai, who I would have loved his perspective, because we did get occasional differing perspectives in here, but I would have had a past perspective and a present day perspective. And I loved how the stories, those perspectives were woven together. They felt like they were never missing a beat in terms of revealing things at the right times. It wasn't like in some fantasy novels where you're a bit confused about what the reveal is. It was very like obvious in that sense, but it felt very woven and very well crafted in an obvious kind of way, which I quite liked. I felt like it fitted the story. It fitted the idea that they're book eaters and the story and the intricacies, etc. Now the one thing is that obviously the fact that they're book eaters is mentioned quite a lot, but I feel like it could have been explored a little bit more. There are a few things here which I felt like had this had a little bit extra time or gone into a little bit more detail, it would have been brilliant and it could have been 5 stars. I feel like if we had more about the actual book eaters themselves. So for example, there's 6 different book eater families, and they each seem to be of a different descent, or they've got a different they've got a different theme and they've got different ideas. If that had been explained, or even like some sort of like map or some sort of like illustrated guide at the beginning, would have been really interesting. And that would have been, I really would have liked that. And also their idea is that the 6 book eater families were put on Earth by the Collector, not the Collector, the Collector's from something else. They think it's this like alien kind of being. It's mentioned a few times as being like gospel, but they're not sure if it's true. And that's never explained and never gone into anymore. I would have much preferred that their history on Earth was not explained and was not delved into, because that would have been equally as interesting, and had the right amount of mystery. Like, we didn't need to know why they were on Earth. I would have liked it if they were just there. But yeah, so there was a few things that I felt like could have been a little bit more explored, and also the themes. So like the themes of being like very anti-patriarchy and about how and the feminism in this was really good, but I felt like it could have been expanded and broadened. And I think because it didn't have a resolute end, or the end point was not where some fantasy novels would end, I feel like that wasn't explored to its fullest opportunity. The ending did feel very, very rushed. The sort of last couple of pages was like one thing was and another and another and another, and I was just like, hang on a minute. The pacing on that section felt really off, and I feel like it didn't necessarily need to be longer in that sense, in the sense of all the things that have happened, but it could have been more well paced so that there was a little bit less at the beginning, because at the beginning it was quite a slow build. Like, it gripped me straight away, but the beginning was quite slow building and the end was very rushed, so I felt like that could have been balanced out a bit. But so yeah, that's my first well-rounded review of the year. Overall, I really, really enjoyed it. It really gripped me. I thought it was really interesting. But there were quite a few little bits and pieces which I feel like I wish it had, and it would have been the perfect 5-star read for me. But yeah, I'm really glad I read this. I'm really happy. I'm not going to be selling it or anything. I'm just going to keep it on my shelves and just have a really good time. Still really, really undecided about whether to unhaul a copy of Book of Night. Mainly because I can't decide which one to unhaul. So the actual TBR trial didn't work out in my favour this time, but I did read a book off my TBR that I probably otherwise wouldn't have. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this up here because it's been a bit of a journey, and I hope you've had a great time, because I've had a great time. I definitely will be doing another one of these soon, and I do think I probably will go for another book box version, because I still have so many book box books
that I just need to get to. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.